From Painesville, a pleasant welcome to ELBC Newsline. Today is Tuesday, November 25, 2025. My name is Fabienne Kuya, presenting, and these are our top stories. President Joseph Boyka to address 17th Medias Forum in Morocco. ECOWAS ambassador to Liberia urges Liberian journalists to exercise due diligence through fact check. Over 175 suspected drug traffickers and dealers are behind bars awaiting court trial. And away from Liberia, Catholic cleric accuses Nigerian government of making no meaningful effort to rescue abducted students. These stories and much more, including sports, the weather report, the news in Liberian English and French. But first, Pastor Talu and the news bulletin.
President Joseph Boakai and his delegation are in Morocco to participate in the 17th Mid-Days Forum. President Boakai is the first among five heads of state and government expected to address the opening of the forum, which will take place from November 26th to the 29th. An executive marshal release says the president is traveling at the invitation of King Mohammed VI under whose high patronage the internationally renowned May-Days Forum is convened. Following his address, President Boakai will receive the prestigious Grand Prix May-Days, the highest honor presented during the forum. The award recognizes his leadership in strengthening democratic governance, vision for national renewal and institutional reform, commitment to peace, stability, and regional cooperation, and efforts to rebrand Liberia as a credible, responsible, and forward-looking nation. Liberian journalists have been challenged to go beyond disseminating information to exercising due diligence through fact-checking. ECOWAS ambassador to Liberia, Josephine Nkrumah, said all Liberian journalists to use their profession to combat the spread of fake news, disinformation, and misinformation. At the close of a two-day training on information integrity, the ECOWAS ambassador said it is no more about news scarcity, but the extra effort to fact-check every information from newsmakers. Madam Josephine Nkrumah reminded journalists of the magnitude of their work, stressing that journalists' inability to double-check their stories will create a gullible society. On Tuesday, ECOWAS, with support from GIZ Organizational Development Program, implemented by the Media Foundation for West Africa, ended a two-day training for about 30 Liberian journalists in Monrovia. ECOWAS election observation mission in Guinea-Bissau has urged candidates, political parties, and coalitions to refrain from prematurely circulating or announcing uncertified results. The mission called on supporters of political parties in Guinea-Bissau to exercise maximum restraint while awaiting the declaration of official results. In its post-election report, the ECOWAS Election Observation Mission urged the National Electoral Commission to work diligently to ensure the timely release of the results to avoid any tensions. It also commended the professionalism demonstrated by security forces and the general citizenry to maintain a peaceful posture before and after the electoral process. Over 175 drug traffickers and dealers are in jail awaiting prosecution. Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency officer in charge, First Gerald Biako, disclosed that a suspected drug trafficker, and dealers were arrested in September and October of 2025. ORC Biango said they were investigated and are currently pre-trial detainees awaiting prosecution and subsequent sentencing. He said the agency, during the arrest and confiscation of drugs, impounded 6 vehicles at different locations across the country. The LDA boss also said 2 houses, one in Burrillville, Monserrate County, and Doazondo, Mangibi County, where huge quantity of narcotics were found, have been seized. Meanwhile, LDA officer in charge says the entity is not only arresting suspected drug traffickers and dealers, but has intensified its preventive models across Liberia. He said, owing to such efforts, the issue of widespread drug activities throughout the country has reduced while appreciating the collective efforts of citizens Officer in charge, Biago, indicated that the LDA is working out plans to fight against drugs by collaborating with several institutions or organizations, including community dwellers. Speaking at MICA's regular press briefing Tuesday in Monrovia, the LDA board said the entity has embarked on making some of the notorious drug sites recreation and LDA service centers, amongst others. Monserrate County District 7 lawmaker Emmanuel Dan has expressed frustration over the rejection of his bill seeking to repeal and amend key sections of Liberia's public health law. Representative Dan said the Health Committee acted unfairly by recommending the bill's rejection without holding public hearing or inviting health experts to provide technical input. The lawmaker argues that the current health system continues to fill poor Liberians who are often denied treatment during emergencies because they cannot afford upfront payments. In proposed legislation could require all health facilities to provide immediate care before discussions financial obligations with commitment forms used to protect medical institutions. The Monserrate County lawmaker believes the committee's action does not reflect the interests of ordinary citizens who frequently lost loved ones due to lack of timely medical attention. Nima County District now lawmaker Tai Wongwei has introduced two bills to boost local businesses and secure long-term national savings. The first proposal seeks a national stimulus package of 10 million US dollars to be distributed across the 73 districts. The plan tackles small and community-based businesses, offering grants ranging from 250 to 7,500 US dollars. Representative Wongwe said the initiative is designed to help ordinary market women and local entrepreneurs gain access to capital and expand income-generating activities. The second bill, according to our reporter, calls for the creation of a sovereign wealth fund. The measure, Representative Wongwe says, will channel 10% of royalties and concessions fees into a protected account reserved for future generations. National Food Assistance Agency Director General Bwaka Salif has hailed the efforts of Save the Children International toward the livelihoods of Liberian children. Mr. Salif called for enhanced partnership with the organization to reach every school-going kid in the remote parts of the country. He made a statement Tuesday when a high-level delegation from Save the Children International met with the National Food Assistance Agency. A release says the meeting followed an invitation extended them following NFAA's recent assessment of the organization's school feeding storage facilities in Buchanan-Grand-Bassa County. Save the Children International Chief of Party commended the NFAA for its action in boosting school feeding programs, especially in those for the adoption of the homegrown feeding approach. Mr. Starakanku said government acted decisively to pass an act creating the agency. Education Minister Dr. Jaso Jala is urging Liberians to take advantage of the Erasmus Plus program. The Erasmus Plus program is a scholarship scheme supported by the European Union and the Education Ministry. Speaking Tuesday at the Erasmus Information section in Congo Town, Minister Jala described the program as critical for professional careers and national development. According to her, the program offers incredible opportunity to study abroad, gain skills, and return to contribute to Liberia's progress. The education minister stressed that Liberia's prosperity lies not only in its natural resources, but also in the knowledge and expertise of citizens. Action Transforming Lives has trained over 50 women from different communities as water technicians in Janita Upper Magibi County. The two-day event witnessed the training of those women who has given them requisite water management and maintenance skills vital to the project's sustainability. The initiative is intended to help community dwellers take charge of the project in the absence of Action Transforming Lives. According to our correspondent, Action Transforming Lives is constructing 31 of the water facilities and has completed only 8 thus far. Criminal Court A has rejected one of the trial jurors from ongoing jury selection in the arson case involving former Speaker for Nancy Kofa and 14 others. Judge Roosevelt Willie Tuesday rejected juror Delbert Matuma following a week-long investigation by the court prior to her exclusion from the panel. Several individuals were subpoenaed by the court to provide evidence during the investigation. The subpoenaed witnesses included the current juror management head by Councillor Andrew Needham, former juror management head Councillor Alice Salif, the HR of the Ministry of State, and the Comptroller of the Judiciary. The court investigation was as a result of a prosecution submission to the court accusing the juror in question of serving during the May term of 2025 and was unqualified to serve during the term consistent with the jury law. In a related development, prosecution is seeking for the exit of a female juror who they claim was a campaign manager for defendant Abu Kamara, who is currently on trial. Prosecution claims were backed by a series of evidence taken from her Facebook page. In those pictures and videos, a female juror can be seen campaigning for Representative Kamara in District 15. However, one of the defense lawyers, Councillor Arthur Johnson, claimed that the evidence was doctored and as such, it should not be given credence. And a 52-year-old defendant has pleaded not guilty to his indictment on allegation of raping his 2 daughters, ages 13 and 17, at his Mount Barclay home outside of Monrovia. Defendant Kennedy Tapes' plea has shifted the burden of proof on government's lawyers to prove their claims against the defendant consistent with Chapter 25, Section 25.5 of the Criminal Procedure Law of Liberia. Following his plea, one of the prosecutors, Anthony Ansu Dole, chairperson of the Disaster Management Agency, partnering with the state, told reporters that they are not troubled by defendant Tapes' plea of innocence. Anthony Dole argued that they have an overwhelming evidence to implicate the defendant of abusing his 2 daughters at their Mount Barclay residence in 2025.
Fast Talu in the news bulletin. She returns a little later with the foreign news and weather report. One of the top stories: over 175 suspected drug traffickers and dealers are behind bars awaiting court trial. As you may have heard in the news, President Joseph Boyka and team have arrived in Morocco ahead of the official opening of the Middays Forum. The annual gathering brings together several heads of state, business leaders, and policy makers to discuss issues of global concern. Pastor Talu has been reading through an executive management release and now reports.